I know we're all saying the same thing. Ugh. 70 points? Did anybody from Denver decide to show up for this game? Apparently not. As Miami, even with backup quarterback Mike effing White, threw a 65-yard touchdown pass. You got Tua throwing the ball behind his back. I mean, it was crazy to me. I mean, Tyreek Hill, nobody guards him. This was an embarrassment against Sean Payton, who should be fired, and the Denver Broncos for no showing in a game like this, trying to find their first win. Most points scored, in a game literally in the modern era. Got to go only back to 1966. And the Dolphins did everything they could to stop scoring.
Yeah, literally.
They brought in their backup running back. He went for 200 yards. They brought in their backup quarterback. He threw for 350.
It was chosen. Robbie Anderson
it
showed
was.
up.
Listen, none of us in our lifetimes have ever seen anything like this. Denver's now dead and buried. Forget about the Sean Payton experiment and Russell Wilson. They're no longer a story. But, man, Miami is for real. And not just because they scored 70 against the Denver Broncos. They showed you what I always talk about. When you're a really good team and you play a bad team, you should beat the hell out of them. Kansas City, Chicago, Miami, Denver, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, make no doubt about it. Tua is the MVP of the league right now. I mean, whether you like it or not,
I don't like
309 yards, 4 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns altogether. This offense, led by him, is the best offense in football.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue it. I mean, most of 3 more rushing touchdowns yesterday. And look, you can't judge anything by what happened yesterday because it's an anomaly. It's never going to happen again, probably in our lifetimes. But last night when it happened, it was, depending on what side you're on, either the prettiest thing you've ever seen or the ugliest.
One side? This is personal for Mike McDaniels. This felt personal. Yeah. It looked personal because there's letting off the gas, and then they're saying, hey, this knife that I'm putting in you, I'm just going to keep twisting it and twisting it. The Dolphins look like a juggernaut like we've never seen before in Miami since probably the days of Dan Marino.
Yeah.
They look absolutely flawless on all categories. And when you talk about Tua leading this offense, there was a large I guess in his early years as Dolphins, there was a comparison to him and Russell Wilson as far as body type and the play style. He is at this point, he is light years ahead of Russell Wilson. And it was indicative to, at one point, remember, and I know you got a little bit of mine on you, Carton. Remember they tried to lure somebody out of retirement by the name of Sean Payton?
Yes.
And how Stephen Ross, his Miami Dolphins organization, was like, man, if we get Sean Payton and we get to it, sky's the limit.
Tom Brady, too. Don't forget
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniels took yesterday personal. And he said, I'm here for the future. I'm the next Schuler in charge, and I'm taking Tua with me. And they looked amazing.
I'm good with all that. I'm not going to argue any part of that. You're probably dead on right. And I want to give the Dolphins a lot of credit. They did something yesterday we just never seen before, putting 70 points. But, in every one of those highlights we just showed, there's nobody, and I'm not exaggerating, nobody trying to tackle anybody. Give Miami, their flowers. They deserve it. They scored 70 points, but they had a willing participant who wanted to open up the bank for them to cash all those checks.
Craig, you mentioned it earlier. They scored touchdowns by accident at the end of this game.
Yeah.
They were running off tackle, they're like, hey, foot off the brake. We're up by 40 points. No big deal. We'll politely end this game. And they were scoring touchdowns because the Denver Broncos defense just quit.
You know how I know Jesus isn't a Jets fan? When I watched Mike effing White connect with Robbie the Chosen Anderson.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, on the same side of the TV, I watched the Jets get the pummeled by the Patriots. And I said, God just doesn't like the Jets.
Not only that, the Miami Dolphins have scored more points yesterday than the Jets have scored all season combined. And I could probably still say that 5 weeks from now, too.
That's what
as bad as the Jets
I don't know how
offense
Van Joseph has a job right now.
Yeah, well, the New York Jets lost to the Patriots 15-10. And, add them up. I know the number. That's 15 consecutive losses to their division rival, the Patriots. For good reason, Garrett Wilson's ticked off on the sideline. He's wide open on half the routes he runs, and Zach Wilson either couldn't pull the trigger or didn't have time, to be fair, on some of those downs. Yeah. You've got Randall Cobb trying to stand in the way. You've got Michael Carter, a third-string running back, yelling at the running backs coach. And then afterwards, Robert Saleh was asked about the future with Zach Wilson. He gives us the best chance to win. Boy, Tim Boyle must suck. I mean, I don't know. Look, I don't even want to blame Robert Saleh because there's a difference between a coach and a general manager.
So who do you blame?
I blame Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas, who I love, the general manager of the Jets, who orchestrated the acquisition, of course, of not just Dalvin Cook, who's been a major disappointment, but obviously Aaron Rodgers. He's the guy. Robert Saleh can only coach the guys you give him. And to be fair, he has not done a great job. Nathaniel Hackett has not done a great job as offensive coordinator. And we can get in the weeds on that if you want. How the play calling's been horrendous.
Yeah.
And you're not really setting Zach Wilson up to be successful, or using your running backs to be successful, or not being predictable, which they were until midway through the second half. But what I can't figure out from Joe Douglas, who's an aggressive general manager, maybe not as aggressive as Mike Tannenbaum was, but still aggressive, right? How you can sit there knowing all the talent we truly do have on this team and allow the franchise to be torpedoed at the single most important position in all of football, and that is quarterback. Now, I know the reports. We have no interest in Carson Wentz. I'm okay with that. We have no interest in Matt Ryan. I'm okay with that. But apparently some quarterbacks have reached out to us, and we've said no to them too. Guys like Chad Henne, veteran guys who've been around the block, who at least are competent quarterbacks, right? Mm-hmm. Like what I told you guys 2 weeks ago, that the New York Jets love Zach Wilson. That wasn't hyperbole. They love Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and what's tough about yesterday, and just to kind of hit it back on the head, is they struggled to compete yesterday. And this wasn't about lack of effort, right? You talk about Dwayne Brown now on IR for 4 games. They moved Mekhi Becton. They put Joe Tippmann in, and you talk about Elijah Vera-Tucker going to right tackle. That front five battled. I'm not giving them that. But there was points during this game. If you're Nathaniel Hackett, the best thing that happened for the Jets yesterday was going no huddle, and they didn't do it. They didn't lean on it. So when I talk about competing is, at some point, throw the kitchen sink at the wall. Like, get something out of something. Nothing happened. And you watch Zach Wilson time after time sit in a pocket, not be able to deliver the football all the time, not be able to run the football. And by all accord, it looked like he didn't even know what was going on the field.
Yeah.
He was just all over the place. So being able to compete isn't just about doing your job. It's about schemes, being able to adjust. And they did nothing yesterday. And that was the most puzzling thing if you're Nathaniel Hackett.
They had that 180-plus yard drive where they actually threw the ball on first down and didn't go your typical run, pass, punt, which is essentially what their offense was. And then we're all yelling and screaming, whether you're at the game or watching on TV from a fan standpoint. Well, why do we do this the whole game? Not that it would have worked the entire game, but you saw that one drive. And the thing that scares me the most is that one drive, in their minds, are like, see, I told you he can play.
And that was soft coverage. The Patriots just laid off a little bit and let the dink and dunks happen. But with Bill Belichick, we talk about the game plan, he pretty much didn't allow Zach Wilson to step up in the pocket and be mobile. He said, no, I'm going to put these 2 tackles right here.
Yep.
If you step up, we're going to swallow you up. If you want to escape out the back end of the pocket, you're not going to be able to see the receivers. They pretty much boxed him up and made him a pocket quarterback, which he is not.
Look, and you know it's bad when even Joe Namath comes out and goes, this isn't even football. Like, I'm not even sure we're coaching this kid right, because he's not doing anything intuitively that a quarterback would do.
They need to bring someone in, and this is on Zach Wilson. Watching the game, we've all watched so much football. There's a certain rhythm to a snap and a drop back and a pass. He was just holding the ball too long. And you're sitting there watching it like, get rid of the ball. I don't care if you throw it to a receiver. Throw it somewhere. Throw it out of bounds. Throw it at someone's feet. Instead, he's just taking sacks.
What we saw last year was him, at times, hold on to the ball. And he was so terrified of turning over the ball and kind of being riddled. The turnover king for the Jets, that it pretty much carried on last year. That's why I made a comment last year that this felt like a continuation of last year. I didn't see Zach Wilson make the step this game. I didn't see him do anything that make me feel like we're going to be okay for the next couple games.
And then, of course, the last play of the game is a Hail Mary. He has a good arm. I'll give him that. I guess he threw the ball 60 yards into the end zone, and the ball gets batted around. And there's Randall Cobb, who has 1 catch in his Jet career thus far. And I like Randall a great deal. Good dude. And it's right now. The announcer did not describe it correctly. It didn't hit him in both hands. He slipped and fell and touched his left hand.
Off a deflection.
But Randall Cobb did say after the game, that loss is on me. I got to make that play.
He's got to chill out. I think he has to go back and watch the tape. He kind of
like, I'm just trying. I'm so upset. The whole thing bothers me because we play Kansas City next. Like, we're not beating the Kansas City Chiefs.
No.
I know the game will be closer than what most people think. Just because Kansas City coming off a blowout win against Chicago, Jets coming off an embarrassing loss. That typically lends itself to a closer game. You know what the experts think. But this right here is a problem, because that means that when everybody breaks out they're talking about Zach behind his back.
Yeah.
And they should be. Because if I'm Garrett Wilson and I was looking forward to a 100-catch, 1,500-yard year with Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback, and now I'm looking at this kid who I'm wide open, and he is scared to pull the trigger and throw me the ball. And when he does throw me the ball, he's putting my life at risk half the time by throwing the ball 3 feet above my head and exposing me to getting smacked by an oncoming safety, right?
Yeah.
I am not happy. So I have no problem with Garrett Wilson mouthing a little bit on the sideline. I really don't.
Well, the person who shouldn't be happy is the Jets offensive line, because at this point, I don't think they could play any better than what they played last year. And Zach Wilson didn't help him out by getting rid of the ball on time. And I don't know what's wrong with this run game. Breece Hall, I mean, if you look at the New England Patriots, they're playing an odd defense, which makes the A-gaps real soft. And in the second half, they started to pound the ball. And I'm like, oh, we got something. Breece Hall takes a shot. We don't see him for the rest of the game. I don't know what's going on with the offense. I really can't pick it out why they're not playing at a better level.
Hey there. Thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.